Hello and welcome to the Writing Process Getting Started information session. In today's workshop, we're going to talk about getting started with a blank sheet of paper in front of you and an assignment written out from your instructor. We're looking at starting from scratch. Nothing is done besides reading and understanding what your instructor gave you as guidelines to your assignment. We also offer writing workshops about getting organized, introductions and conclusions, revising and editing. But today we are going to focus on just getting started with a blank sheet of paper. Our workshop goals for today begin with understanding your assignment guidelines, which translates into the purpose of your writing. After we discuss that, we're going to go into learning pre-writing strategies, which is when you'll get a chance to actually put down words to paper, and then just a reminder about practicing. So, let's think about the general guidelines and how they reflect the purpose of your paper. Every bit of writing has a purpose behind it. It's up to you as a student to figure out what that purpose will be based on the guidelines given to you by your instructor. Are you being asked to persuade your audience, inform them, or maybe just describe a topic? We're going to use a sample assignment to kind of show you how to get started. This assignment says write a 2-page essay persuading the Board of Education to make a change that would improve your life as a student at College of DuPage. Remember, because it says persuade, you do have to use writing and language that translates a persuading aspect to your paper. What is your purpose? It's to persuade. This is what you will be spending the 2 pages trying to do. Since we're just getting started, here are some questions to ask yourself while you're sitting in front of that blank sheet of paper, looking over that assignment that's asking you to come up with ways to improve your life as a student. Think about these types of questions when you decide how you will present your argument for a change to improve your life. What are some arguments for my position? Against it, why? Who is for it? Against it, why? Is it right or wrong? Good or bad? Both? How does it affect others? Again, we're still staring at that white piece of paper, but we're directing our mind to understand that these are the kinds of things we are going to need to think about because it's a persuasive paper. You might be asked to write a descriptive paper. Maybe it's asking you to describe an event in your life or a place that you visited. You want to focus on your senses with this type of writing. Think about how something looks, smells, sounds, tastes, or feels. This is how you decide what to put on your paper, what types of information. We're starting out asking sensory questions if we're dealing with a descriptive paper. Later in the writing process, you will decide how you want to put this information on paper, which gets into the strategy. Right now, we're just focusing on identifying the purpose to be descriptive. Another type of purpose is to compare and contrast. Assignment guidelines might ask you to compare 2 articles you read in class or 2 theories or authors. If the assignment guidelines, the purpose, is to compare and contrast, these are the type of questions that you would be asking yourself. What is it similar to? How? Why? How is it different from? How? Why? How are these similarities and differences important? Are you being asked to analyze a movie, a book, an article? Your writing will need to support the purpose, analysis. Keeping in mind that analysis is different than a summary will help you to answer these questions. How can my topic be broken down? How does it work? What it is made of? Why is it important? Those are analysis questions. If you're asked to do a straight-up research paper, it falls under the category or purpose of informative. Typically, a research paper's purpose is to inform. So you would ask yourself these types of questions. Who would find my topic useful? How or why? What value does my topic have? Is it political, social, economic? Again, keeping in mind the purpose of my writing is going to be to inform the audience that's reading it. Once you are very clear on the purpose, now you can go on to address the pre-writing strategies based on the guidelines. How will you get your thoughts onto paper? There are several techniques. Some work better than others depending on the type of assignment or even just your personal preference. Let's get back to that assignment. Write a 2-page essay persuading the Board of Education to make a change that would improve your life as a student at the College of DuPage. You know the purpose, to persuade. Now let's consider some strategies you can use to get started writing. Just as a reminder, when you are persuasive, you're being asked to support a change that would improve students' lives. Think about these types of questions because they go along with being persuasive. All right, we know it's persuasive. Let's go to step 2, getting the ideas on paper. I can't imagine just starting off writing paragraphs without doing any kind of pre-writing. The pre-writing saves you time in the end, even though what you're doing isn't going to really make its way onto your paper. It's actually a huge shortcut to getting your ideas and starting to organize what it is that you want to say. We're going to talk about the pre-writing strategies of listing ideas, the 5 W's and how, associate, outline, clustering, and free write. You might naturally tend to just start listing ideas when you get an assignment and figure out the purpose, or outlining, or clustering. Again, there's no right or wrong here. Some strategies just work better than others for the individual person or for the assignment. So let's start out with listing ideas. If you're using this strategy, these are some ideas you might include. For example, I've got expand the parking lot, lower tuition, make syllabus available online before registration, create an online profile of all instructors including experience, offer more flexible learning classes. To me, these are just things that are popping up into my head that would probably make the life of most students easier at the College of DuPage, and so one of these could be used to address the topic. This T-graph works well if you're trying to persuade. You can have one side that says reasons for change, and the other side could be reasons against the change. If you are going to have a paper with the purpose of comparing and contrasting, the Venn diagram works really well. So going back to the assignment to persuade the school board, how would the 5 W's and how come into play? Well, if I ask myself the who, what, where, when, why, and how of the problem of parking, I would say, who would it benefit? Students. What would make it happen? Approval by the board. Where would the support come from? Could be a change in the budget. It could be from a fundraiser. We could charge students and have paid parking in a garage. When would this change happen? Well, of course, we would have to have the school board's approval, so after they approved it. Why would this change be a benefit? Well, it would make students' lives easier because they wouldn't have the stress of finding a parking spot, feeling rushed, showing up late for class. How realistic is it that this could happen? Well, this is where your persuasion really comes into play. And this is also a good time to remind you that while these are strategies to help you get your ideas down onto paper in a helpful way, you still need to come up with the ideas on your own. Maybe it's easier for you to come with ideas through association, approaching the topic by figuring out what you don't like about being a student, which would then lead to a possible change that you could write about. So by using association, you can come up with ideas. These are some questions that you might ask yourself. What at COD do people think negatively about? That could lead to a positive change. What else is negatively associated with it? What did the issue develop from? For example, with the parking, well, the school's become very popular. There's a lot of students that want to come here. That's why we have the parking problem. And then what does or can my improvement lead to? It's what we discussed about being persuasive. Another strategy for getting your thoughts on paper is to outline. When you get to outline, you're working through one idea and breaking it down and seeing how well you could actually expand on that one idea. So for example, for this outline example, I'm using fix the parking as a way to improve my life as a student. What's nice about an outline is that it's easy to turn this format into sentences and paragraphs. Now, an outline can be formal or it can be informal. You can use the Roman numerals and the capital letters and the numbers, or you can just kind of write out a bigger idea, indent your way in, and put the details. But again, this is when you have one topic and you're trying to see how far you can go with it. Another strategy is clustering. And this is a good way to get several ideas on paper to see where you can go from one bigger idea. For example, in this diagram, you can see the bigger main ideas in the large bubbles with the smaller bubbles shooting out and showing some of the details. So I'm deciding from several ideas and shooting off the details of each one compared to the outline where I just chose the parking lot and worked with that. Clustering is a nice way to get a visual of how much you have to say about each idea. Last, we're going to talk about free writing as a strategy to get thoughts out of your head and onto paper. This is a very casual, just throwing everything out and seeing what comes of it. We are not editing when we're free writing. We're just letting the ideas flow. No stopping to decide if what you're thinking works or not. We're just going with it, maybe free write for 5 minutes, and then go back and check and see if there's something that you've written that you'd like to pursue farther. This is a nice idea when you just really feel stuck. To recap, first you want to be sure that you're understanding the purpose of your writing, which will make itself clear in the assignment guidelines. Then choose a pre-writing strategy that works for you and the assignment, because that way you can get words and ideas down on paper that you can look at before you take one of the next writing steps. I just want to have a last reminder to make sure that you practice. If you'd like to try a little practice, let's try writing an informative essay about your hometown. What strategy would you choose? Would you list? Would you question? Would you use association? Would you cluster? Would you free write? Would you outline? Take a moment to just get your thoughts together. Remember what it is to have an informative essay, what types of things you're going to want to include. Then figure out which would work best for getting something down on paper. So here I have, through its many amenities, Glen Ellen offers many options to new families. And that's going back to the idea of informing about a hometown. Here I've got an outline where I've decided schools, parks, and restaurants, and then going into details. I could have easily used lists for this. I could have clustered it. So like I said, it's up to you which you feel most comfortable with. It's just to know the choices that you have. Thank you for attending today's workshop on getting started, and hopefully we'll see you in the Learning Commons or at another information session.